Welcome to the third episode of McCombs Magic. We are here with all three of us today ahead of this week's schedule. Well, not even this week's schedule, but like it's finally game week, which is fantastic. But a little unfortunate news came out of Texas softball yesterday as Vivi Martinez announced that she suffered a not season ending. Well, yes, no, yes,
Yes. Yes.
season-ending injury, which we found out a little more about what it was, and she tore her ACL, right, Emma?
Yep. Torn ACL. No, yeah, but stay at media availability. Obviously, well, the team hosted their first media availability ahead of the season today. And we got to hear from head coach Mike White, Teagan Kavan, and Reese Atwood. And obviously, the loss of Vivi Martinez was brought up. But this is definitely some unfortunate news, just because how much of a team player Vivi was. And even speaking to the players, you could kind of tell that they were a bit heartbroken about it. But they said that Vivi's all in good spirits. She was there at practice. We saw her. She seemed like she was doing okay. Surgery went well, all that kind of stuff. But no, I feel like that's definitely going to take a toll on the team. Maybe not as big of a toll, just because the team has so much depth. And I know Coach White was even talking about who could potentially be put in her space. I know he named Leanne Good, Katie Stewart, and I think Lynn Rista as well, all as potential replacements for BB. But it'll be interesting to see, how her absence will affect this team, her being such a veteran leader for the team at shortstop. But yeah, tough loss, especially ahead of opening day, but I think they'll be just fine.
No, and you're talking about Vivi, who really brought together this team, but it was very interesting. I believe she's roommates with Reese Atwood. I believe
Yeah.
that was her roommate, and even
Yeah.
Teagan Kavan was very surprised of how well she was taking it. And it's something that like just kind of speaks to your character about like, and she gave an example, like there'll be times where like Vivi was saying, well, according to Teagan, Vivi was joking and like looking at the positive outlooks. And one of the positive outlooks that she goes, well, this means I can be a fifth year senior and be here another year. So
Exactly.
it's moments like that like make you really appreciate how much they're bought into this program and how much they love being at softball and being not only like the love for the game, but also playing at Texas and playing under Coach Mike White. And it speaks volumes.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
culture that Matt Guaido's built here is incredible. I mean, that injury obviously is awful, and especially with other key pieces that departed this past season, like Bella Dayton and Alyssa Washington. I mean, it just speaks volumes that like facing a season-ending injury is almost faced with a positive outlook because it's like, oh, I get to stay in Austin and play for this team for this school one more time. You know what I mean? Just there's so much talent. It's like that next girl up mentality, and I think that's why this softball team is just so good. I mean, 23 conference wins last year. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and I definitely heard that was something that was talked about a bit today as well. I believe I just asked Teagan Kavan, like what makes you so excited about this season's team, maybe compared to the past season. And she pretty much said that she believes that this team is a lot more tight knit.
Mhm.
And I definitely think you could see that during practice, me and Deb, whenever she was saying like whenever the camera gets turned towards the girls, they'll smile and hug each
Mhm.
other. And you could definitely hear all the vocal feedback they were giving each other today at practice, and the vibes were just so good. And so I definitely think that some of the younger players, like Reese and like Teagan, getting into having those first seasons under their belt, and now they want to be leaders, get in that leader position. I definitely think that team chemistry is going to play a huge part in their run to the national championship this year.
Not only is the team chemistry a big thing that was homed in today, but it's you can immediately see it on the field, even when they're at practice. And it was something that like you can't even make up. It's these girls genuinely love each other, and you can tell like me and Emma were there for about like just watching like 30 minutes of them interacting, and you can just tell. And Coach White kind of joked when Vivi Martinez was like, "Hey, well, where's your brace? You're not wearing your brace." It's like because he had like, I believe he had like surgery up here or something, and Vivi kept him in check, and he was like, "Hey, where's your brace? Are you doing your stretches?" And he joked around and he goes, it's like having so many daughters here. They always keep me in check, and some days I'm like, oh my goodness. And then he was talking about how her, Vivi, and Caden Henry are always on him. And that's exactly how this team is. This team is very much, okay, we're doing this together. We're doing this together. Let's make each other better. It's not just this is me, let me do my own thing. It's they're all so tight knit and it speaks so much volumes. But the thing that I found the most interesting and my biggest takeaway from Mike White today was last year, Alyssa Washington was the captain, and there hadn't been a Texas softball captain like ever, I believe in Texas softball history. Like captain, that honor was just never given to someone. And Alyssa Washington earned that. And I remember like last year she was unanimously selected captain as she was the most vocal. And it wasn't even just a seniority thing. It was you've earned this. You are our leader. Something Mike White said today was there is no leader because it's a leadership committee is it's what he said. It's not just one girl leading the pack. It's a selective group that are trying to get better, set the example for the underclassmen, and show them what Texas softball is about. And this team is absolutely so tight knit with just that type of mentality and how close they are together. It speaks volumes.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Let me see. There was something that was also talked about today. Like you were saying, leadership and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was funny. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me, not from Coach White, but from Teagan Kavan was that, well, I guess also from Coach White, but they were talking about the two new freshmen coming in, Cam Solomon and Shailene Brister, I believe is how you say her name. But I know Teagan had kind of said something about how Cam's mentality as a freshman is way better than how Teagan felt about her own mentality or her mental focus as a freshman. And so just kind of seeing how, even though there are only two freshmen coming in this season, obviously they both have really high praise from Mike White, got really high praise from him during media day today. And I feel like that also kind of speaks volume because when you have the combination of, all these veteran leaders on the team mixed with these underclassmen, these freshmen coming in and already showing that, they have what it takes to play at this such a high level of competition and already getting, even if it's preseason accolades, but also just getting that recognition from the head coach as somebody, like, hey, you need to look out for them because they're going to be a solid piece to this puzzle. I definitely think that's something that's going to make this Texas team really unstoppable this season.
Yeah, and those two girls you mentioned both are top 50 recruits in their class, which is just crazy. I mean, the Texas recruiting train, you see it with volleyball even too, it's just constantly just building and building and building. Like it seems like the run never ends in terms of talent. When you have one or two girls go down, you don't freak out because you have so much talent that's ready and available to replace anyone that gets hurt or has to miss some time. So, I mean, it's going to be really exciting to see these young girls step up for sure.
Another
Absolutely.
another note that I want to mention is that not only was Teagan saying that that was a big part of it, that just the way Cam presents and represents herself, how she's so self-assured in the circle. Like, yes, that's a huge takeaway, but something that both her and what is it, Teagan and Atwood both touched on is that they were asked what part of their game do they want to work on the most this season, or like what's an area they need to improve. Instead of saying something like, oh, well, I want to be better at like, like finding a new pitch or like getting up faster from the ball. Both of their takeaways was I want to be mentally stronger and I want to have a better mentality. And I mean, if that is that having a positive mindset and just working on your mentality, it's such a big game changer, especially in the game of softball when it's such a mental game. One, when you're in the circle, when the pitch isn't going your way, no one can control how you throw. It's only up to you. So being able to control that and mentally like finding a space for you speaks a lot. And not even when you're stepping into the box, like that's a mental game in itself. It's when you're 2 and 3, next pitch, it's either you're gonna figure out how to swing or you're gonna strike out. And it's stuff like that, like it's instead of they're working to actively get better mentally to make the team as a whole more well-rounded than it already is.
And I definitely think just from that alone, and also just with the fact that how successful both Reese and Teagan were last season,
Mm.
it's almost kind of crazy to me because I'm like, okay, they have already started out probably the best that they can, and it's just like I'm so excited to see how they can only evolve from there, and obviously becoming more mentally focused, just being more prepared for what's to come, competition-wise for the SEC. It's you're going to need that mental focus. And I know Coach White also touched on how it's all just mental meditation, at practice,
Mhm.
just training your mind to be prepared for those scenarios. So I definitely think it was a really cool tidbit for me to hear. And I know it kind of started out as like maybe not so much like a unserious question, but obviously at the beginning of media day everybody was talking about, oh, like Reese, your kangaroo that you brought to practice, all that kind of stuff. But then she kind of got to dive into how her family owns a ranch, and she used to do a bunch of ranch work when she was younger. And so definitely hearing about that kind of made me appreciate her a little more because obviously now we know that she just kind of has that toughness and she knows how to work hard. She knows how to really just use that strength that she's been given. And I think that's really cool to hear about her. I just thought that was like such a cool little fun fact about her, even though it started out with like, oh, hey, I have a kangaroo, but then it's like, also, I used to work on my family's ranch for however many years. So, like, I know how to put in the hustle, I know how to put in the grit, all that kind of stuff.
And what I think is even crazier is that like saying obviously with Teagan, who I mean, unanimous pitcher last year, all Big 12 freshman team or whatever. But in terms of the mindset not being like the best they already could be, obviously dropping the first game in the Super Regional last year against A&M. I mean, I feel like the amount of focus and grit and determination you have to come together as a team to come together and fight those mental struggles to then go win 2 straight games and keep your playoff hopes alive. I feel like if the mindset was viewed as negative or not as good at that point, I mean, I can only imagine what this team's mindset's going to be when they think they have a good mindset in terms of what they're able to achieve in the long term.
And something else that I do want to bring up that was said at Media Day was they asked Teagan Kavan who is someone that's underrated, an underrated hitter that gives her some trouble and that maybe not a lot of people keep an eye out. And she brought up 3 names. One, Leanne Gooden, which we didn't get to see a lot of her because yes, she's a freshman. I mean, you this last year's team, yes, they were young, but they had core veterans. So we didn't get to see much of her, but Kavan believes she's going to have a huge role in the lineup, and she kept reiterating about how competitive she is with everything Teagan throws at her. Another name was Vic Hunter, just the big presence she has, and and just the big presence she had last year. She had a huge, I believe her first Texas softball hit, or like her first recorded hit as a Longhorn, was a home run. Just because I remember her seeing the video, and she was so hyped. That girl just brings a lot of energy, and I'm here for it. That's exactly what you need out of softball. At a softball game, you need to have the big energy, and that's exactly what she is. But one name that kept coming up from both Teagan and Mike White was Ashton Maloney. She what Teagan kept saying was that, she doesn't really think she gets a lot of respect, or that not a lot of people are putting her in those big conversations. She kept saying that she's one of the most consistent hitters on the team, and Kavan's just always struggling with her because She just finds a way to get on base. And that is one of the toughest things you can have, especially as a pitcher. If you're facing her in the circle, it's oh my goodness, she's gonna get on base, whatever I throw at her. So it's one of those like little mental challenges, but it's hey, if they can get on base, they can get on base. It doesn't matter what way you get on base. But Mike White's, I vividly remember him saying he believes Maloney Ashton, not only is she very underrated, but he even questioned, he goes, I don't know why she isn't an All-American. So if you have your own head coach saying that, someone's doing something incorrectly. We are not giving her the attention she deserves.
Mhm.
And I'm very excited to see what Ashton is going to do this season, especially because one, I mean, first time you're addressing the media and you're talking about someone who you think deserves to be an All-American and is one of the most consistent people, I'm going to be riding that wave. I
Mhm.
cannot wait to see what she does. But yeah, I mean, you got to give her flowers when her flowers are due.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
last season, I mean, oh, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, last season she started every single game that she played and had over 150 at bats, and her on
Mhm.
base percentage was 43%. I mean, that is remarkable efficiency. So I agree with what Coach Roy was saying. The fact she's not even an All American watch list, I think is a hate crime. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, nonetheless, though, I think this season she's going to show why she deserves to be on that list.
No, absolutely. And I was gonna say maybe like looking at her stat sheet a little bit, hitting percentage of 0.381, that's pretty good. That's really good. But then it's also you look and you see she didn't have too many doubles or triples. I believe she only had two doubles, perhaps. Yeah, two doubles last season. Very few home runs. So I feel like the stat sheet doesn't always exactly replicate just how appreciated a player should be. So I kind of agree with Jackson saying how I'm really excited to see how she can further develop and exactly how Coach White was saying, this is such an underrated player. I'm surprised she's not an All-American. I feel like that just goes to show just the behind the scenes work that she's been doing that maybe we can't see. But then obviously once the season starts, hopefully she'll show off for us.
And only one error last season, too, which I think I just want to throw that out there. Only one singular error. Crazy.
For an outfield to have that, that is absolutely insane, especially how deep this roster went necessarily. But something that, not only that, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen her hairstyle for game day. She by far wins the best hairstyle for game day. I don't know. It changes up every time, but like with the visor, one time she had like the bubble braids and like she had like actual braids within the bubble braids. I don't know. Her hairstyles always look good. So that's why I'm a little biased, but like if she doesn't win All American, she can 100% win best hairstyle because it's
Okay,
always good.
guys, favorite softball hairstyle? Go.
Probably the bubble braids or like
The bubble
the
braids.
bubble braids.
They're
Right.
so good. And I personally don't know how to do them, and I'm really mad about it. So maybe I'll have them teach me one day how to do the perfect bubble braid.
I don't know. The bubble braids are fantastic. But moving over to our very last topic of the day. So we got to see some at bats today. And those girls were swinging.
That's where booming, I heard.
Bats
That's where
were booming. Not even that, but we got to see Caden Henry throw a few one, and it was like missile after missile. Those balls were gone. But something I want to bring to everyone's attention, not only were the bats were flying, my charger just died, but it just fell. Anyways, something I want to bring to everyone's attention is that Corey Mose, let's plug him real quick. But over when you park at, if you guys don't know, the way McCombs Field set up, the way you park, there is a warning of please park at your own discretion. Softballs may be flying. And it's something everyone is, you have to take the risk because it's one, you're parking right behind a softball field, or A, or B, you're parking right behind a baseball field. You have to be prepared that one, your windshield may get smashed. And that is exactly what happened. Someone's windshield it wasn't even a crack. That thing was
no,
obliterated.
it was done. It was done. But Oh my goodness. I feel so bad. I am blanking on the name of the player that we saw today that was just actually hitting bombs.
Daniel
Henry
Wallace.
Wallace or Henry?
Wallace and Henry were both hitting bombs today.
Okay, okay. But they were actually like I was standing there and just watching the ball just fly over the wall. One hit the bleachers in right field, and it was like obviously they just looked so casual about it. It was like, okay, next in rotation. And I was just sitting there like literally jaw dropped, like, oh my gosh.
which is
Okay, you know,
which is
what more
crazy
can you
because
say?
Wallace is really known for her speed and the ability to steal bases because they typically used her as like a pinch runner. So seeing her just go nuclear is just crazy work. I just that's nuts.
Her
Mhm.
and also who else was it? I believe Wells, Rachel Wells. All three of them, they were taking at bats and like yes, they were practicing like their slapper technique and everything, which I get. Like that's very key in softball, especially like to get on base. But I don't know. I just like at one point I just stopped recording and I was like, oh my goodness, these are going straight to the outfield. These are gone. And it's not even the like a few of them, yeah, they got like a little bit in the center field, but like they went to center field and beyond. Like I
Mhm.
didn't like, and yes, guaranteed, like we only watched a little bit of at bats, but those things were flying. Like a few more than a handful of them hit the wall. And apparently, I guess when after me and Emma left, every other one was going out. And you know what? And it unfortunately led into someone's windshield getting broken.
Mhm. Mhm. Do we think Texas softball should pay for that?
No.
Yeah, who's liable there? We should keep track of all games during home games where there's a ball that hits a car. I think that should we should do a count.
I agree.
But something that this is the social media idea for them. Something they should 100% do is like one, I want to know if like they kind of feel bad for like breaking someone's windshield or like a window. But like you also kind of can't feel bad because like you kind of signed up for that, especially when you park there. But something I really want them to do is like you know how like especially in travel ball and stuff like that, whenever you would hit a home run ball, you would like pose with the ball. Let's get them to pose with the cars. The cars that are broken and just
Leave
collect
them a little note. Leave them a little
Yeah,
note.
leave them a little note.
not only
Hey,
leave them a note, take a photo with it and just collect them like little Pokemons and just have them and be like, this is what I did this season, and just like make a wall, put it up in like the softball locker room or something, like dedicate a wall, the wall of destruction. It's them just hitting bombs and destroying windshields. Social media idea. There
So
we
instead
go.
of
that actually.
gotta catch them all for Pokemon, you gotta crack them all, crack all the windshields. That's the motto for the
Gotta
season.
crack them
I don't think it's too
all.
bad.
Wait.
That's a good
That's
one.
good.
That's really good. But I mean, they were hitting bombs. Hold on. I have this video and I just want you guys to hear the sound.
To hear the boom.
Oh,
Just
good
hear the
softball ASMR.
Hold on, if it loads. If it loads, we can hear softball ASMR. Because if not,
Yeah, softball ASMR.
no, the bats were flying.
I
It was
love a good it's
it was
crisp.
actually it was actually insane. Oh my gosh, why is this not going? This is actually kind of embarrassing now that it's not playing.
We're ready for it.
I
Hey,
know.
hey, if my phone loads,
Ready for this.
if my phone loads, we can gladly play this. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna play. This is what happens
For next time. For next time.
Next
for
time.
for next time. But I mean, it's
We can
actually
make a
insane.
compilation.
Well, yeah, we'll have to make a compilation, but it's actually insane how hot the bats were. And if the bat, oh, here we go. Oh, wait, not that one. Okay, hold on. That's embarrassing. But there was like moments where, oh, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness, why is my phone doing? Anyways, I don't think it's gonna play. But anyway, regardless, bats were absolutely flying. And like, if this is them, be like 3, 4 days before season, just imagine by the time they get to June.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting.
Get excited.
Regardless, definitely, like Emma said, get excited. Um, softball's back, and we'll be here next week. Well, not even previewing, discussing the very first games because it'll be three. Regardless,
Louisiana.
it should be
Louisiana
fun.
Classic.
Regardless, it should be fun. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.